1. The Spark. Lila Carter adjusted her navy blazer, the fabric crisp against her skin, as she stepped into the glass-walled conference room of Voss and Company. The air thrummed with ambition. Sharp suits clacked on keyboards, and the faint scent of espresso mingled with new leather. At 28, she'd clawed her way from freelance gigs to this sleek advertising firm, and her pulse raced with the weight of it. This was her shot. Carter, right? The voice was smooth, warm, like bourbon over ice. Ethan Voss leaned against the head of the table, arms crossed, his dark eyes flicking over her. At 35, he was younger than most execs, with a jawline carved for billboards and a tie loosened just enough to hint at ease. His dark hair was tousled, as if he'd run a hand through it one too many times. Yes, Lila Carter, marketing associate. She extended a hand, firm and professional, ignoring the way his fingers lingered a beat too long. Good. You're on the Harper account. Pitch is in 2 weeks. Don't screw it up. He flashed a grin, all teeth and charm, then turned to the room. Let's dazzle them, people. The meeting blurred into stats and buzzwords, but Lila caught Ethan's gaze twice, once when she pitched a tagline, Harper, bold moves, bright futures, and again when he smirked at her scribbled notes. Her stomach flipped, but she chalked it up to nerves. By the time they adjourned, her anxiety had morphed into a quiet thrill. She was in. Chapter 2. The Pull. The office thinned out by 7 p.m., leaving only the hum of the printer and the glow of the skyline beyond the windows. Lila stayed late, her laptop casting a blue sheen on her face as she tweaked slides for the Harper pitch. She was mid-sentence when Ethan appeared in the doorway, sleeves rolled to his elbows, a coffee cup dangling from his hand. "Burning the midnight oil already?" he asked, stepping closer. His cologne hit her, woodsy, expensive, followed by his shadow as he leaned over her desk, peering at her screen. "Trying to impress the boss?" she said, half joking, meeting his eyes. Mistake. They were darker up close, flecked with gold, and they pinned her in place. "You're doing fine so far." He slid the coffee toward her, his voice low. "Decaf. You'll need sleep eventually." Their fingers brushed as she took it, and the air thickened, warm, electric. He didn't pull back, neither did she. For a moment they just stood there, the printer's hum the only sound. Then he straightened, breaking the spell. "Don't stay too late, Lila. Big days ahead." He left, and she exhaled, staring at the cup. A faint buzz came from his office down the hall, his phone lighting up with a text he didn't answer. She shook it off, refocusing on her slides. This was her chance, not his game. At least that's what she told herself. The next night, he lingered again. "Harper's a tough client," he said, perching on her desk, his knee brushing hers. "You're bold with that tagline. I like bold." His grin was lazy, inviting. She laughed, and the banter flowed. Work melting into quips about bad coffee and worse clients. By 10 p.m., the office was a ghost town, and he was closer, his hand grazing her arm as he pointed at her screen. "You're good at this," he murmured, his breath warm against her ear. Before she could reply, he tilted her chin up, and his lips found hers. Soft, then insistent. She kissed him back, her pulse hammering, the taste of coffee and recklessness on her tongue. When they broke apart, he smirked. "See you tomorrow, Carter." She sat there dazed as his footsteps faded. What the hell had she just done? Chapter 3. The Discovery. The next week, Lila floated through meetings, Ethan's kiss a secret buzzing under her skin. He'd catch her eye across the room, a flicker of a smile, and she'd blush despite herself. But cracks started to show. At lunch, she overheard Tessa, the sultry account manager with crimson lipstick and a predator's strut, laughing with a co-worker. "Ethan's office last night? Let's just say it wasn't about budgets." Her wink was a blade. Lila's stomach sank. She told herself it was nothing. Office gossip, meaningless. But then she saw Mia, the sharp-witted intern with doe eyes and a nervous giggle, slip out of Ethan's office late one afternoon, adjusting her blouse. His door clicked shut behind her, and Lila's coffee went cold in her hand. That night, she stayed late again, but this time it wasn't just work. Ethan found her, as she knew he would. "You're killing it on Harper," he said, leaning against her desk, his voice a caress. "Drinks to celebrate?" She hesitated, Tessa's laugh and Mia's blouse flashing in her mind. "Are you asking everyone, or just me?" He chuckled, unfazed. "Just you, Lila. You're special." His hand brushed her cheek, and she hated how her body leaned into it. Chapter 4. The Confrontation. The confrontation came Friday after a team meeting where Ethan praised her slides. Tessa shot her a venomous look, and Mia fidgeted with her pen. Lila cornered him in his office, the door half open, her voice tight. "What's going on with you and Tessa? And Mia?" Ethan leaned back in his chair, unbothered. "You're jealous? That's cute." He stood, closing the distance. "They're casual. Flings. You're different. Smarter. Sharper. I mean it." Her chest tightened. Anger. Desire. Doubt. "Prove it," she snapped, and he did, pulling her into a kiss that drowned out reason. It escalated fast, his hands on her waist, her back against the desk, papers scattering. They ended up tangled in his office chair, her blazer on the floor, his shirt unbuttoned. After, she lay against him, his heartbeat steady under her cheek. But her mind churned. Was this real? Morning brought clarity, and a lipstick-stained coffee cup on his desk, cherry red, Tessa's shade. It sat there like a taunt, and when Ethan stepped out for a call, Lila's resolve cracked. She wasn't special. She was just next. Pages 8 to 9. The reckoning. The Harper pitch loomed, and Lila threw herself into it, fueled by fury and pride. She nailed it, clients nodding, CEO beaming. Ethan tried to claim credit, but she cut him off mid-sentence, her voice steel. "My idea, my work." The room shifted, heads turned. After, he cornered her in the hall. "You're upset. Let's talk." "No," she said, stepping back. "We're done." His jaw tightened, but she walked away. Tessa and Mia imploded that week, screaming in the break room over a missed date with Ethan, coffee cups flying. He emerged, disheveled, barking orders, but the office buzzed with his unraveling. Lila watched, detached, her focus on a new pitch, her own, straight to the CEO. Chapter 5. The Resolution. 2 weeks later, Lila stood in the CEO's office, her pitch greenlit. "You're moving up?" the CEO said, handing her a new title, Senior Associate. She'd outrank Ethan now, and the irony wasn't lost on her. He caught her in the elevator that day, his charm frayed. "Congratulations, Lila. Guess I underestimated you." "Guess you did," she said, stepping out as the doors opened. The skyline stretched before her, vast and hers. She didn't look back.